The mind is a battlefield, an arena where thoughts wage war for dominance, each one clamoring for attention, each one a contender for control. I have long been fascinated by this conflict, by the ceaseless chatter in my own head, by the way my focus could be hijacked at a moment's notice. Why was it so hard to maintain my presence in the moment? Why did my mind drift when I needed it most? It was in my search for answers that I stumbled upon the profound depths of psychoanalysis. Psychoanalysis, often associated with delving into childhood traumas and unconscious drives, is also an unparalleled tool for mastering focus. It teaches us that concentration is not merely about willpower, it is about understanding the hidden forces that pull us away. It is about making the unconscious conscious, about exposing the hidden motivations that scatter our attention. And so, I embarked on a journey, a deep dive into my own psyche, to reclaim my ability to be present. The first revelation came when I realized that distraction is not random. My mind was not merely wandering for no reason, it was seeking an escape. What was I escaping from? That was the key question. Through free association, a technique pioneered by Freud, I allowed my thoughts to flow unfiltered. I wrote them down, spoke them aloud, traced them backward like a detective unraveling a mystery. And what I found was astonishing. My mind wandered not because of external stimuli, but because of unresolved conflicts within me. Each distraction was a symptom, a signal from my unconscious. For instance, I found that when I struggled to focus on an important task, it often tied back to an internal resistance, perhaps a fear of failure, or an unconscious guilt associated with success. By confronting these hidden fears, by bringing them into the light, I felt the chains of distraction begin to loosen. My focus was no longer a battle of brute force, it was a process of integration, of making peace with the parts of me that had been at war. Another powerful technique I discovered was transference, typically used to analyze relationships, but equally potent for understanding focus. I asked myself, what am I transferring onto my tasks? Was I treating my work as an oppressive authority figure? Was I rebelling against my own ambitions? By recognizing these projections, I could change my relationship with my work. I could approach tasks with curiosity rather than resistance, with presence rather than avoidance. Dream analysis also became a tool in my arsenal. If the unconscious speaks in symbols, then dreams hold the key to unlocking the hidden saboteurs of focus. I began keeping a dream journal, analyzing recurring themes, and deciphering what they revealed about my struggles with attention. It was through this that I uncovered deep-seated anxieties, old fears of being judged, childhood experiences of pressure, that had been influencing my ability to concentrate without me even realizing it. Slowly, through this process of excavation, I began to experience a shift. My mind no longer felt like an enemy, no longer an untamed beast pulling me in 1,000 directions. I was reclaiming my awareness, my presence, my ability to engage with the world fully and intensely. This was not a mere intellectual exercise, it was a transformation, a reprogramming of my very psyche. The journey was far from over. In fact, I sensed that I had only scratched the surface. What other layers of the unconscious were influencing my focus? What other hidden forces were at play? The deeper I went, the clearer my mind became, and the more exhilarating the process felt. This was not just about focus, it was about freedom. It was about reclaiming my mind from the forces that had controlled it for so long, and so, I continued. With every new insight, with every breakthrough, I felt myself becoming more present, more alive. The battlefield was no longer a place of endless war, it was becoming a place of mastery, a place where I could finally take control. But then came a test, an unexpected challenge that would put my newfound awareness to trial. I was in the middle of an important project, one that required deep concentration, when I felt my old patterns creeping in. My thoughts scattered, my attention wavered, and for a moment, it felt as if I was back at square one. But instead of resisting, I observed. I let the thoughts surface without judgment, tracing them back to their origins. What was triggering this lapse? What unconscious pattern was at play? I soon realized it was a buried fear, an old wound resurfacing. The pressure to perform, the weight of perfectionism, had silently crept back in. But this time, I had the tools. I used active imagination, a Jungian technique, to dialogue with this fear, to personify it and engage with it. I asked it what it wanted, what it feared. It answered in images, in memories, in fleeting emotions. And as I listened, something shifted. The fear lost its grip. My focus returned, not through force, but through understanding. This moment was a revelation. It showed me that mastery over focus is not a one-time victory, it is a continuous dance. A constant conversation with the unconscious. It is about learning to listen, to decode the messages hidden in distraction, and to use them as stepping stones to deeper awareness. And so, I pressed forward, more determined than ever. The battlefield of my mind was no longer a war zone, it was becoming a place of exploration, a realm where I could uncover, understand, and ultimately harness the true power of my consciousness. Then came another layer of insight, a deeper realization that focus was not just about eliminating distractions but about cultivating a state of flow. I began experimenting with new techniques, mindful breathing, somatic awareness, and even structured rituals to anchor my attention. Each day became a practice, a deliberate effort to sharpen my presence. I learned that movement played a crucial role in my focus. Whether it was a brisk walk, stretching, or a short burst of exercise, engaging my body helped release mental tension and reset my attention. It was as if my mind and body were finally aligning, working together rather than against each other. As I delved further, I realized that diet, sleep, and even the way I structured my environment all played a part in sustaining my focus. I became more mindful of what I consumed, not just food, but information, conversations, and even emotions. Everything carried energy, and I needed to curate what I allowed into my space. Then came a pivotal shift, one that altered not just my understanding of focus, but my entire perception of reality. I began to experiment with sensory deprivation, reducing external stimuli to sharpen my internal awareness. The experience was profound. With nothing to distract me, my mind became a mirror, reflecting hidden depths I had never accessed before. I could feel the layers of my unconscious shifting, revealing buried insights, forgotten memories, and untapped reservoirs of concentration. This practice, combined with deep meditation, unlocked a new level of mental stillness. My thoughts no longer felt like a chaotic storm, they became like ripples on a calm lake. With this newfound clarity, I realized that true focus was not about forcing the mind into submission, it was about creating the conditions for it to naturally align, to become effortless, fluid, and razor sharp. At this point, I turned to the wisdom of the Stoics, Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, for guidance on mental discipline. They taught me that true focus comes not just from controlling the mind, but from training it daily, subjecting it to voluntary hardship, and practicing the art of letting go. The Stoic practice of negative visualization helped sharpen my focus by preparing me for distractions before they arose. I adopted their technique of journaling, writing each morning and evening to reflect on my mental clarity and control. Through their teachings, I realized that true mastery of focus was not about resisting the external world, but about achieving unwavering presence within it. Awakening the mind, my journey into psychoanalysis. I never realized how scattered my mind was until I delved into the world of psychoanalysis. My thoughts used to drift aimlessly, bouncing between unfinished tasks and endless distractions. But once I uncovered the hidden mechanisms of my psyche, I unlocked a new level of concentration I never thought possible. My journey began with an insatiable curiosity: what drives my inability to focus? Why do some thoughts stick while others fade into oblivion? Psychoanalysis offered an answer, not a quick fix, but a deep and transformative process. It taught me that my struggles with focus were not merely a matter of willpower but deeply embedded in the unconscious patterns I had carried since childhood. The unconscious battlefield, understanding the root of distraction. Every time I tried to concentrate, an inner war erupted. I would sit down to read or work, only to be bombarded by intrusive thoughts. Did I forget to reply to that message? Should I check the news? Maybe I need a snack first. It felt like an endless loop of self-sabotage. Then, through psychoanalytic self-reflection, I uncovered something profound: my distractions weren't random. They were defense mechanisms, my mind's way of avoiding uncomfortable emotions buried deep in my unconscious. Anxiety, unresolved conflicts, and suppressed desires all played a role in pulling my attention away. The moment I became aware of this hidden battle, I started regaining control. Free association, liberating the mind for true presence. One of the most powerful techniques in psychoanalysis is free association, allowing thoughts to flow without judgment. At first, I found it difficult. My logical mind wanted to categorize, filter, and control my stream of consciousness. But the more I let go, the more I discovered about myself. I practiced free association daily, letting my thoughts spill onto paper without censorship. In those pages, I found the origins of my distractions. I saw patterns, hidden fears, and unresolved emotions that had been steering my focus away from the present moment. This exercise rewired my brain, making it easier to stay present and engaged in daily activities. Resistance and the struggle for control. Resistance is the invisible force that keeps us stuck in old patterns. I experienced it firsthand when trying to cultivate a deeper focus. Just as I was making progress, my mind fought back. Old habits crept in: procrastination, overthinking, impulsive distractions. It was as if a part of me resisted change, but psychoanalysis taught me that resistance itself holds valuable insights. Instead of fighting it, I examined it. Why did my mind resist focus? The answer lay in an unconscious fear: fear of success, fear of confronting uncomfortable truths, fear of losing the comfort of distraction. Once I acknowledged these fears, their power over me weakened. I no longer felt like a prisoner of my own mind. the role of childhood and early experiences. Through deep self-analysis, I traced many of my attention struggles back to childhood. Growing up, I had been conditioned to multitask, to constantly shift my attention from one thing to another. My mind had been trained for distraction rather than deep focus. As I unraveled these patterns, I saw how my early environment shaped my ability to concentrate. The good news: the brain is adaptable. By rewiring my mental habits, I could reclaim my focus. It wasn't easy, but it was possible. And the change began with self-awareness, active imagination, harnessing the power of visualization. One of the most exciting psychoanalytic tools I discovered was active imagination, a technique developed by Carl Jung. This method allowed me to engage with my unconscious mind in a creative way. Instead of passively observing my thoughts, I actively interacted with them. I visualized my distractions as characters, embodied forms with personalities. Some were tricksters, leading me astray with tempting diversions. Others were shadowy figures, representing deeper emotional wounds. By engaging with these figures, I learned how to neutralize their influence and redirect my energy toward focus and clarity. The power of transference, rewiring relationships for better focus. One of the most surprising revelations in my psychoanalytic journey was the role of transference, how unresolved emotions toward past figures influenced my present focus. Every time I found myself distracted, I asked, "Who does this remind me of?" More often than not, my mind was replaying old emotional dynamics. By resolving these unconscious conflicts, I freed my mind from past entanglements. My concentration improved because my mental energy was no longer tied to unresolved emotional baggage. Instead of being pulled into old patterns, I was fully present in the here and now. Dream analysis, unlocking hidden insights for mental clarity. My dreams became a treasure trove of insights. Each night, my unconscious mind revealed hidden fears, suppressed desires, and unresolved conflicts. By analyzing my dreams, I gained clarity on what was truly distracting me. One recurring dream involved a maze, an endless labyrinth where I wandered aimlessly. This dream mirrored my waking struggles with focus. But as I worked through my unconscious fears, the dream changed. The maze became a straight path, leading me toward a clear destination. This transformation mirrored the shift in my waking life, where confusion turned into clarity, and distraction gave way to deep focus. The final breakthrough, living with unwavering presence. As I integrated these psychoanalytic techniques into my daily life, I experienced a profound shift. My ability to focus wasn't just about resisting distractions, it was about understanding them. Each moment of distraction held a lesson, an invitation to explore my unconscious mind. Now, I approach my daily activities with a newfound presence. Whether I'm reading, working, or simply enjoying a conversation, I am fully there. My mind is no longer a battlefield of competing thoughts, it is a sharp, clear instrument, fully engaged in the present. Deep work and the psychoanalytic approach to productivity. The modern world bombards us with distractions. Notifications, social media, endless emails. Our attention is constantly pulled in multiple directions. But through psychoanalysis, I discovered a way to reclaim deep work. Deep work is not just about setting aside distractions, it's about resolving the unconscious conflicts that make us seek them in the first place. Why do we check our phones the moment we face a difficult task? Why does our mind wander when we sit down to concentrate? The answers lie in our unconscious fears: fear of failure, fear of imperfection, fear of the unknown. By addressing these fears through psychoanalysis, I created an environment where deep work became second nature. I learned to enter a flow state, where time dissolved and my mind was fully immersed in the task at hand. It was no longer a battle to focus, it became a natural, effortless state of being. The elders of the Stoic school teach that mental focus is not a matter of straining the mind, but of disciplining it through deliberate practice. They advise that one must begin with awareness, becoming conscious of where the mind drifts and gently bringing it back to the present task. Seneca, for instance, speaks of the dangers of distraction, reminding us that life is squandered when we allow ourselves to be pulled in too many directions. He urges us to practice mindfulness in daily affairs, whether eating, speaking, or working. By fully engaging in each moment, we train the mind to resist the chaos of external disturbances. He also warns against the dangers of idle talk and trivial pursuits, emphasizing that true focus requires eliminating unnecessary distractions. He further advises that one should regularly review and reflect upon one's progress, refining habits and ensuring that one remains aligned with meaningful goals. Epictetus teaches that focus is a function of choice. He asserts that we must decide what truly matters and disregard the rest. He advises his students to practice ataraxia, a state of serene imperturbability, by reminding themselves that only their thoughts and actions are within their control. By filtering out concerns that do not belong to us, we achieve greater concentration on what does. He also recommends self-examination as a daily exercise, reflecting on one's actions and mental state to refine focus and self-discipline. Epictetus encourages the use of logical reasoning to keep emotions in check and maintain clarity of thought in the face of challenges. Marcus Aurelius emphasizes that focus is cultivated through structured routine and reflection. In his Meditations, he writes that each morning, one must prepare for the challenges of the day with clear intent. By maintaining a journal, setting priorities, and frequently returning to one's core principles, the mind is kept sharp and unwavering. He also advises focusing on the present moment, as dwelling on the past or future weakens one's ability to act effectively in the now. Marcus teaches that obstacles should be viewed as opportunities for growth, adopting the mindset that every challenge can be turned into a lesson or advantage. The Stoics also advocate training the mind through voluntary hardship. Practicing self-denial, such as fasting or enduring discomfort, strengthens one's ability to concentrate by reducing dependence on external comforts. This exercise makes distractions less tempting, allowing the mind to remain steadfast in its pursuits. Additionally, they encourage practicing endurance in everyday struggles, treating challenges as opportunities to refine mental resilience. To embody Stoic focus, one must practice single-minded attention, learn to ignore what does not serve the higher aim, and train daily through self-discipline and introspection. In doing so, the mind becomes an instrument of precision, capable of cutting through the noise of the world with unshakable clarity. Furthermore, the Stoics recognize the power of visualization in maintaining focus. By mentally rehearsing the tasks ahead, one can strengthen commitment and prepare for potential obstacles. This practice fosters a state of mental readiness, reducing hesitation and ensuring swift, decisive action. They also stress the importance of detachment from unnecessary emotional turmoil. By cultivating an observer's mindset, one can maintain composure and clarity, ensuring that emotions do not cloud judgment. This deliberate detachment allows the mind to remain centered, even in the face of adversity. Another essential aspect of Stoic focus is the practice of memento mori, the contemplation of mortality. By reflecting on the finite nature of life, one gains a sense of urgency and purpose, making distractions seem trivial in comparison. This awareness encourages deeper engagement in meaningful tasks and prevents procrastination. Seneca reminds us that time is our most valuable resource, and wasting it on trivialities is a great folly. In addition, the Stoics advocate the power of gratitude in maintaining focus. By regularly acknowledging the present moment and appreciating what one has, the mind is anchored in reality, preventing distractions caused by longing for the past or worrying about the future. Practicing gratitude sharpens attention and reinforces the pursuit of meaningful endeavors. Lastly, they emphasize the value of surrounding oneself with individuals who embody discipline and wisdom. Engaging with focused and principled individuals reinforces one's own commitment to concentration and clarity of purpose. By learning from those who have mastered the art of focus, one accelerates personal growth and mastery of the mind. The company we keep influences our habits, and aligning ourselves with those who value focus and self-discipline strengthens our own resolve. The power of morning reflection. Marcus Aurelius' practice of setting intentions. Marcus Aurelius was acutely aware of the human tendency to get lost in distractions and external events. His morning reflections were not mere intellectual exercises, but practical tools for mental preparation. He didn't merely acknowledge the potential for encountering difficulties, he used this understanding as a foundation for his inner strength. The Stoic practice of reflecting on the day ahead, and preemptively deciding how to react, ensured that his focus was on maintaining virtue in the face of external chaos. But there's an additional layer to Marcus' morning ritual. His reflections weren't just passive thoughts, they were action-oriented. For example, he would contemplate the various people he would encounter throughout the day, knowing that some might irritate or disappoint him. Instead of letting those encounters dictate his emotional state, Marcus reminded himself that these reactions were within his control, not the actions of others. His focus was on cultivating patience, understanding, and resilience. This preemptive focus is something we can implement in our own lives. Each morning, we can mentally prepare by reflecting on the challenges we might face, and instead of reacting impulsively, we can choose how we will respond. For instance, if we anticipate an argument with a colleague or a stressful situation in our personal life, we can set the intention to remain calm, composed, and focused on constructive outcomes. This simple act of intention setting can shape the entire course of our day, keeping our attention aligned with our goals and values, rather than being swept away by external forces. The dichotomy of control, Epictetus, and concentration on what matters. Epictetus' distinction between what is within our control and what is not is the cornerstone of Stoic focus. This dichotomy is not just an abstract idea, it is a lens through which we can view every aspect of our lives. The more we train ourselves to focus on what we can control, the less distracted we become by the noise of the outside world. Let's consider how this plays out in a modern context. Imagine being stuck in traffic or experiencing a delay in a project at work. We can't control the traffic, and we can't force the project to move faster. However, we can control how we respond. Do we let the frustration of the situation hijack our attention? Or do we choose to focus on using that time productively, whether through deep breathing, planning our next steps, or even reflecting on how we can maintain a calm mindset? Epictetus would say that our energy should be spent on choosing our response, rather than on futilely resisting what we can't control. By constantly redirecting our focus back to what we can control, we not only preserve our mental energy but also gain clarity. The practice of identifying what's in our power allows us to eliminate distractions and direct our attention to the things that truly matter. Over time, this strengthens our ability to concentrate, because we are no longer distracted by the endless cycle of worry and frustration over external events. Seneca's insight on distractions, the need for mental clarity. Seneca's insight about distractions is especially relevant today. In a world that is constantly bombarding us with information, emails, social media, endless notifications, it can be difficult to maintain mental clarity. But Seneca's wisdom holds true. When we allow ourselves to be pulled in every direction by external distractions, we lose focus on our deeper goals and values. The Stoic approach here is to be intentional about where we direct our attention. This isn't about eliminating all distractions, which is nearly impossible in today's world, but rather about training ourselves to recognize them and choose when to engage with them. Seneca might suggest setting clear boundaries for ourselves, perhaps dedicating certain hours of the day to deep work or reflection, and others to social interaction or relaxation. By structuring our day with intention, we can minimize distractions and create blocks of time where we can fully focus on the task at hand. Furthermore, Seneca often warned about the addiction to pleasure and the pursuit of superficial goals. In today's world, this could manifest as an obsession with social media validation, consumerism, or excessive entertainment. These distractions not only take up our mental energy but also cloud our ability to focus on long-term, meaningful goals. Stoic practice, then, involves questioning the worth of these distractions and choosing to redirect our focus to pursuits that align with our true values. Negative visualization, preparing for the inevitable. Negative visualization may seem paradoxical. Why would we want to spend time imagining the worst? Yet, when we understand its true purpose, it becomes clear that this practice is an essential tool for focus. It is not about being pessimistic, but rather about clarifying what is truly important to us and removing the fog of trivial distractions. In a modern context, negative visualization can be used to sharpen our focus on what we value most. Imagine losing your job, or worse, losing a loved one. While these scenarios are undoubtedly painful to contemplate, doing so can help us realize how much we take our present blessings for granted. When we mentally prepare for these potential losses, we can refocus on what really matters right now: our relationships, our health, our purpose. Incorporating negative visualization into our routine can also help us avoid getting distracted by fear of loss or failure. When we realize that we can endure hardship and find meaning in adversity, we become more resilient, less distracted by temporary setbacks, and more focused on our ongoing journey. This practice strengthens our ability to stay present, as we are no longer diverted by what might happen in the future or what we might lose. We focus on what we can do today to live in accordance with our principles. Daily journaling, the Stoic practice of self-reflection. Daily journaling was a vital practice for the Stoics, and it continues to be one of the most effective ways to maintain focus. Journaling isn't just about writing down what happened during the day, it's about reflecting on how we showed up in the world and whether our actions were aligned with our values. For instance, Marcus Aurelius used his journal as a form of self-counsel. At the end of each day, he would review his actions, evaluate whether he had stayed true to his Stoic principles, and identify areas where he could improve. This act of daily reflection helped him sharpen his focus for the following day, keeping him on track with his commitments. In a practical sense, journaling serves as an excellent tool for mental clarity. When we take the time to reflect on our thoughts and emotions, we give ourselves the opportunity to course correct. Are we focusing on things that matter? Are we letting distractions dictate our mood or decisions? Journaling can also serve as a place to track our progress, celebrate small wins, and identify recurring patterns in our behavior that need attention. Bringing it all together, Stoic focus in practice. The beauty of Stoic focus is that it's not a single practice, but a lifestyle, a continuous, interconnected approach to mental clarity. When we combine the morning reflections, the dichotomy of control, managing distractions, negative visualization, and journaling, we create a holistic method of staying grounded and focused throughout the day. Each of these practices supports the others. Morning reflections prime our minds for what lies ahead. The dichotomy of control helps us discern what's worth our attention. Seneca's advice on distractions allows us to guard our mental space. Negative visualization strengthens our ability to stay present. And journaling allows for ongoing self-correction. Together, they form a seamless process for cultivating a focused, resilient mind. By integrating these practices into our daily routine, we not only enhance our ability to concentrate but also enrich our lives with meaning and purpose. Stoic focus isn't just about mental sharpness, it's about living intentionally, aligning our actions with our highest values, and remaining calm and clear in the face of life's inevitable challenges.